Hi, Kathryn here with Handmade by Circle Art Designs. Well, today on my work table, I thought we would do something fun and easy, but the end results are so beautiful. I just love these fun little funky rings. Today we will be making stacking rings, and I have a bonus at the end that I did to go with them, and I really love this little set. They're fun, they're easy, and they're perfect for a rainy day. So let's turn our eyes to the mat and get started. So as I am turning my eyes to the mat, I see my Simply Grateful mat. I love my Simply Grateful mat. And I was thinking about today as I was sitting down to edit what I had done. I had testing today, and it's not a big deal, but it's always kind of puts a crimp in the day because, you have to get to the hospital, you have to do your little test, you have to go home, and it's just something that I don't do all the time. Well, my daughter took me. My husband was busy, and she said, "Oh, I'll take you up there." And I was simply grateful for her company. She is one of those people like my husband that is steady, rock solid, and nothing seems to ruffle her feathers very much. I was thinking, truly, Father, I am simply grateful to have someone like that with me because I get flustered very easy, especially when it's something new and I'm not really sure what's going on. So truly, I am simply grateful for her. How about you? Do you get flustered easy? Has the Lord sent someone into your life? Who or what are you grateful for today? All right, let's turn our eyes to the mat. So for today, we will be using all 11O seed beads. These are the beautiful 11O seed beads with that silver lining. And I am also using the rose gold 11O seed beads. I think they are just beautiful. And to be real honest, I had a hard time deciding whether I was going to use rose or the regular gold. I have pulled my ring memory wire. I had got that off of Amazon. I saw that Hobby Lobby had some, and we're going to need our memory wire cutters. Now I have cut a round and about a half for this ring off using my memory wire cutters. Now, first of all, always use your memory wire cutters because memory wire will chew up your regular cutters and just ruin them. But now I'm taking my chain nose pliers, and the reason I cut this a round and a half is so I could make this little straight line for beading. For years, I have played with these rings trying to hold it together and get the beads on it, but I'm telling you, if you cut a little extra wire, it makes it so much easier to bead. Now I've taken my straight nose pliers, I've grabbed the other end, and I'm curling it around. And then I will take my grooved chain nose pliers, because I need the help with the gripping, and I am mashing that circle down. I will not be using this to put a charm on because I'm making stacking rings, but you could if you wanted to. Now this is beautiful whether you're using those silver lined seed beads or whether you're using a matte seed bead. This comes out gorgeous, and this technique is so versatile, and I'll talk about that a little later. But for this particular one, I have put on, let's get that out of the way. I have put on 3 of my gold seed beads and then 1 of the dark blue silver lined. And again, remember, I am making this all with 11Os. And so that's the pattern for this ring. And I find this type of beading, it it's very therapeutic. And that's one of the reasons why I decided this was the perfect thing to do for today, because the craziness with my getting ready for the test today was kind of crazy. I mean, it really was crazy. The whole time I thought I was having one test because of the name of the center. But about a little over 24 hours, I got an email confirming, and I was having the other test. And I went, no, wait a minute. And so there was a slight confusion, probably on my part. But so when I sit down to do some beadwork, I thought, I want something that's relaxing, easy to do. There's not a lot of thought in it. And it's beautiful. And isn't that beautiful? Now, again, the pattern I am doing is 3 of your rose gold to 1 of your blue. And the reason I stress that is I didn't want my rings to end up being same, even though they are similar, so that they can stack. So that each ring that I made, I changed my pattern up just a little bit. And the end results, when you put them all together, they are so pretty. Now, what do I like about stacking rings? The first thing I like is the simplicity of them, and depending on what type of seed bead you do with these, if you use a matte seed bead, it is so pretty, but it has just a lovely everyday look to it. But if you use the silver lined seed beads, and with that sparkle, it really sets them off. When your hand moves, your fingers just sparkle. Now, the other thing I like about stackables, and I think everyone should have one in every color, is because they, see, isn't that pretty? I just love that. That's so pretty. But the reason I like them is, first of all, with the memory wire, I have not found anyone that can't wear them on some finger. I'm real blessed. The only one that seed bead memory wire rings does not, the only one of my fingers it doesn't fit on is my little pinky. But now, if I wanted it to fit on my pinky, what I would do is I would add a slightly larger bead, because the inside of the circle will change depending on what bead you bead that wire on. So if you want to make memory wire rings and you think, oh, my fingers are too small, or oh, my fingers are too big, go ahead and put the memory wire, once you've cut it, always cut 1.5 rounds so you have plenty to work with, on your finger. And if it will fit on your fingers without the beads, when you choose your bead, remember it will take up room in the inside of the circle. So choose your bead appropriately. The other thing is, they stretch. And that's a wonderful thing, because it's not like the old rings when you were a kid, when you pulled them apart and you put them on and then you hope that they didn't fall off because they would pull apart further. It has a memory, so it'll stretch out for you, and then it snugs up against your finger. And so I just love these. I think they're such a blessing. I love rings. I love lots of rings, and I love to wear them all the time, although you would not know it watching me do beadwork on YouTube. But so now I am almost to my circle, right like that. And so it's going to be time for me to go ahead and finish up this particular ring. So I'm making sure that I pull them down. I don't quite have enough. You want to go right up to the ring. I was trying to decide, well, do I want to give it a lot of lap over or hardly none at all? And I decided for me to do hardly none at all, because when you're putting the rings on, the front will only have 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you have. But if you do a lot of lap over on your ring, you will have a lot of width across the base of your finger. All right, I am doing about 1/4 of across my finger. I'm sorry, that's the way I measure. And I'm using the very tips of my memory wire cutter. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut that off. And so it's probably maybe 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little less. I'm one of those that whenever I start my circle, if there's too much wire left over, I pull my circle back out and I clip it again, just like that. I went, yep, that is way too long. So when I measure, when I'm doing this type of work, I take my memory wire, I hold it between my thumb and my pointer across the side of my finger. Usually when I'm cutting wire, I measure it across the pad of my pointer finger. But when I'm cutting memory wire, I measure it across the side of my finger. I hope that makes sense. So now I'm very carefully turning this. Remember, these are glass beads, so that if you mash it really hard, you're going to break the glass bead. And I have to tell you, on one of the rings, I got a little ambitious with how many beads I put on, and I had to intentionally mash one of those beads and break it so I could go ahead and close my circle. Now I've mashed it down, and here I am going ahead and trying to get it on across. I want it to be right up against, without mashing, my last seed bead, so it will hold the beads taut, not tight, but taut up against this memory wire. I don't want any space in my ring, and so it should look just like that. And that's my first one. That's the rose gold and that deep blue silver lined. Let's put this on my pointer finger, and it goes on just like that, and I love that. That's so pretty. That's where I like to wear them. But I also wear them on my middle finger and my ring finger. Not so much on my thumb because I have a tendency to get them caught. And so the next one I did is I also made one switching it up just a little bit with the orange, and that one was a 3-1 and a 4-1 and back to a 3-1, so they're just slightly out of space. And here you can see that when you make them touch as opposed to lap over, you have 3 rings on top and only 3 rings to deal with on the bottom. So that was what I did today. Now think of your bead stash. What seed beads do you have that you might want to make these lovely little rings with? And here I wanted to show you that they are versatile. I can wear them on any of my fingers. And I think I have a 9 for my ring finger and a 10 for my pointer. And I think almost a 10.5 for my middle finger, if I am remembering correctly. And so I just move them around, and here I'll show you. I'm going to go ahead and put them on my ring finger, and again, they fit and they're just lovely. But I do have something else that I would like to share with you. So what I did to make this cuff bracelet is, first of all, I use the cuff memory wire. There is such a thing, I learned recently, by a beautiful bracelet that I saw someone had made. But also, if you don't have that, this will work for your regular bracelet memory wire. But I wanted to do something just a little different, so I'm using the cuff. Now then, for this, I also wanted my pattern to stand out differently for each of these bracelets. And I joined these bracelets in the end so that they would work as one bracelet. You would not have to do that. You could just go ahead and put them on either one or two or all three or however many you wanted to put. You're only limited by your imagination. So what I started out with is I did a 3-4 pattern. When I cut my memory wire cuff, I cut it right in the middle. I didn't leave any lap over because I knew that I could put a closure if I needed it, but I ended up not needing it. So I cut it right in the middle of the circle. I went all around that oval to the center of the bottom of the oval, took my memory wire cutters and cut it, and I cut 3 pieces. Then, just like we did for the rings, I turned one side, and then I started putting on my beading. If you want to straighten out a piece of it and use that as the little straight part to put your seed beads on, then cut a slight lap over when you cut your bracelet wire. But so I did a 4 rose gold and then a 3 of the orangey red. Then for the blue, I did a 6 of the rose gold and a 4 of the blue. Then for my last one, which was that beautiful peacock green, I did an 8 and a 9 and a 7. And that's how I got the colors to be different. Now then, with the next picture, with this picture, you can see the very end of the bracelets. I went ahead and turned the bracelet on both ends with that little circle, crimping it down with my chain nose pliers, but not completely closing it because I wanted to put a jump ring on both sides. Now you could have used I could have used a large round jump ring, but I find if you have the ovals available to you, it gives more room for your bracelets to move around on your wrist if you use the ovals. They still move as a single cuff, but with the oval, you have the space you need. If you have a bead bar you could do this with on the bottom, that would be awesome too. But I have as a general rule, especially when I'm doing just easy, beautiful jewelry, I just go ahead and use my oval jump ring. Make sure that you keep your bracelets in the same order that you put on one side as you put on the other. Otherwise, you get a twisted look. And I have to tell you, that twisted look is beautiful, but that is not what I was going for with this one. So that's the bonus for this. I made a bracelet to go with my stacking rings. Now, the other great thing about those stacking rings is you can put them on a wire and make gorgeous earrings, and you have a completed set. All right, let's look at some pictures. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I'm sorry this is a short one, but I really love this technique. And it is something that if you have a little time and a few seed beads and some memory wire, you can do, and it's so relaxing. And the end result is just beautiful. What a joy to look at. And think of all the colors you could do it in. I've done mine in rose gold. Whatever you pick as your primary color, I would keep a primary color and accent it till my heart just filled with joy. again, thank you for joining me today. I hope you have an amazing beading adventure of your own. Check out your stash. See what you have. Get you some memory wire, ring, and bracelet. And let's truly enjoy the gift of beading. God bless you. God keep you safe. Have an amazing beading adventure of your own. And I will see you next time. God bless y'all. Kathryn, Handmade by Circle Art Designs. Bye, y'all.